Myself, Dr. Manjusha Varadpande, Professor, Head of the Department of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics, Government Dental College and Hospital, Nagpur. I would like to thank Team MUHS for inviting me as a speaker for rapid revision. I must appreciate this novel concept of rapid revision for all our dear exam going students. In the present situation of pandemic of COVID-19, wherein everybody is under stress. So here is a small attempt to make our exam going students a little stress free by this rapid revision, which is conducted by Maharashtra University of Health Science, Nashik. Now, dear students, why revision? Someone has rightly said, the best stories are not only written, but they are rewritten. So let us make this re-revision of rapid revision of our subject, conservative dentistry and endodontics, be a memorable one and be as well useful to all the students. So let us begin with the today's rapid revision. Now, I will be covering these topics from our MUHS syllabus, which are properly framed. These are the basic topics, yet they are very, very important. I have the duty to include the conservative dentistry topics and few of the endodontics topics. In conservative dentistry, few basic topics, and in endodontics also few basic topics. Now, in the introduction of operative dentistry, okay, so this may be question put to you like, what is the definition of operative dentistry? To my view, even if the question is not asked, but it is expected from all of us, not only the students, to remember this definition, which contains everything of our subject. So, students, if a question is asked, define operative dentistry. So here the answer is, operative dentistry is an art and science of the diagnosis, treatment, and prognosis of defects of teeth that do not require full coverage restorations for correction. Such treatment should result in the restoration of proper tooth form, function, and aesthetics while maintaining the physiologic integrity of the teeth in harmonious relationship with the adjacent hard and soft tissues, all of which should enhance the general health and welfare of the patient. Now, also in students all are written about the scope. Now, why we need to know in brief about the scope is that this is a wide variety of all the topics, because the materials which we are going to use, one must know, that is basic from the first year and second year, dental material science. Also, we are going to apply it to the tooth structure. Hence, we should know about the biologic basis and the enamel, dentine, and pulp and supporting structure, as well as the physiology, pathology of pulp. Then, most important thing is examination, diagnosis, and treatment planning, and the very important sterilization. The occlusion, because we are going to eat from this side, so occlusion has to be perfect, and to avoid the lot of TMJ problems and all that. The most important thing is which we have to study about it. When a patient comes to you, he comes for pain and he is very anxious. So you should also know about the control of pain and anxiety to make our patient very, very comfortable in the dental chair. Not only the restorative procedures, but also prevention. It is always said prevention is better than cure. So we all must, as a dental fraternity, should work in a team for the prevention of the dental diseases. Now, from this, that is the first introductory chapter, A small question, Viva question may also be asked to you is, who is a father of operative dentistry? Another are Dr. G.V. Black. So paying tributes to him, he's the father of operative dentistry. And if I ask you, who is father of modern dentistry, then the answer should be Perry Fouchard. Okay, so small Viva questions. If a senior examiner like me comes, so you may be put to such questions. Okay, I hope the first topic is covered by me. Now coming to the second topic, that is the instruments. Now the dentist cannot do anything without the instruments. When I was a student in final year, so one of very senior teacher of mine, he asked me to define instrument. And I couldn't answer anything. Then he answered my query and he said, ma'am, student, the instrument is the extension of human hand to perform the given task. So all our instruments are our extensions, but what is required is the judicious use of the instruments with the passion in your heart so as to give a gentle touch to our patient, which will give us healing to our patients. So coming to the classification of instruments, as we all know, a question may be put, classify instruments. So the classification is given by Dr. G.V. Black and the Marzuk. So G.V. Black's classification, he has classified it into cutting instruments and non-cutting. In cutting, all those hand instruments, now probably we may need it in the pandemic, excavators, the chisels and others. So in excavators, hatchet, a hoe excavator, and all that you all know about it. And also you should learn about the non-cutting instruments. The classification given by Marzuk, I feel it is actually, he has done it as per our procedural use. So he has classified the instruments into first set, that is exploring instruments. Why we need exploration of the instrument is for the diagnosis of a defect. Now for diagnosis, only instruments, only we have instruments, it's not correct. We need a dry field and we need a proper illumination. So when you have a proper drying and proper illumination, then you will be able to see what is hidden over there. So in this first class is exploring instruments for drying, for illumination, retractors, probes, separators, all this. The second set is instruments which are required for the tooth structure removal. That is preparation of the tooth. May it be for any kind of restorative material. So it is again divided into A, B, and C. That is hand cutting instruments, rotary instruments, and the ultrasonic instruments. Then we have a third set, that is all restoring instruments. Now we are going to have this mixing instruments ready, the packing instruments, the condensing instruments, burnishing instruments, and the carving instruments. And the fourth is finishing and polishing of the instrument. So when a question is asked, you should be able to write a classification of the instruments given by Marzuk or Black, whatever is your teacher tells and whatever is the correct classification, you should know. The second question may be put to you is a very basic question again. It's a nomenclature of instruments. This is again given by our beloved G.V. Black, and it describes dental instrument as follows, which you all are very aware. First is order. Order is the purpose of the instrument. That is whether the instrument is used for excavation, whether it is used for burnishing or plugger, so on, whatever the function is. The suborder is it describes the position or manner of the use, where it will be a push or it will be a pull. In manner, it is used, the direction of the instrument. The third is the class. It describes the form of the blade. For example, whether it is a cutting, okay, so maybe a chisel or a hatchet. Or if it is a burnishing instrument, it will be a burnishing like that. And the fourth is the subclass. That is, it denotes the angle or space of the shank. For example, whether it is a straight or whether there is no angle or whether there is any angle. Now, for the students, uh, for Viva, what we all do is we have a tray in front of the examiners and on the table, and the examiner, he picks up an instrument and asks the student to describe for hand instrument. Okay, so this way you have to describe. That is, first you have to describe whether it is a hand instrument, whether it is a rotary instrument, whatever it is, and then go on describing the parts of the instrument. So the instrument is divided into three parts: the handle, the shank, and the blade. If it is a cutting instrument, it will be blade. If it is a packing instrument, for example, you want to condense silver amalgam, so you need a round or a parallelogram condenser. So there it will not be a blade. It will be called as nib, N-I-B. So nib is for the non-cutting instruments and blade is for cutting instruments. Now, if an examiner like me might ask you, what is the working part of the nib with which you are able to condense the silver amalgam? Then the answer would be the working part of the nib is called as face of the instrument, which is serrated for silver amalgam restorations, because then it prevents the slippage of the instrument from the restoring surface. Now, the next question may be put to you is the instrument formula. This instrument formula, again given by Dr. G.V. Black. There are two types of instrument formula: 3-unit formula and a 4-unit formula. The first unit, it denotes the width of the blade. The second unit indicates the length of the blade in millimeters. First in tenths of millimeters, second is in millimeters, and third unit, it represents the angle of the blade relative to the long axis of the handle of the instrument. Okay. Now, there are certain instruments, for example, gingival margin trimmer or an angle former, which has a cutting edge is other than the 90 degrees angle. So for those instruments, the fourth unit is placed. So gingival marginal trimmer is a 4-unit formula. It has a 4-digit formula, 4-unit formula. So this 4-unit, it denotes the angle between the cutting edge and the long axis of the handle of the instrument. But when you write the formula, then this 4th unit is placed in the second place. Now, for now, pardon me, because there's some problem. Yeah, then we come to the, I think you all know, you have understood about the rotary instruments. I have not gone into the all the details of the instruments. So just because this is a revision class, so a few points and the answer point of view, it's all been taken. Then the rotary instruments. So these rotary instruments, we all very aware about the handpieces, the burrs, and all other finishing and polishing instruments. So you are all well versed with the handpieces and the micromotor handpieces, that is quadrangle attachments, straight handpiece, and the aerotor handpiece. But a word of caution in this COVID-19 is that all the aerosol generating procedures by use of aerotor handpieces are all, I mean, as far as possible, you are not supposed to use it only for emergency patient, that too in a separate chamber with the rubber dam in place. So we all know about the rotary handpiece and burrs. Then the rotary cutting instruments for this we all know that they are all called as, initially they used to call as, they will be called, they used to be called as burrs. Okay, those were the burrs which had the material with which it is made up of, whether it is stainless steel, whether it is carbon steel, whether it is tungsten carbide. Okay, so the material with which it is made, those were classified. So they had the presence of blades, though they were called as, termed as the burr. And then there are abrasives. All diamonds are the abrasives because their mechanism action is different. So they are called as abrasives. So there is a classification of burrs, just in a quick way we'll go, that is according to the mode of the attachment. If you are using for an air rotor, it will be a friction type. You are using it for a micromotor, that is quadrangle handpiece conventional, it will be a latch type. According to its composition, it will be, as I already have told you, the tungsten carbide, the combination of both. Then again, it is depending upon the length of the shank, that is whether it is a long shank burr or it is a short shank burr, and all depending upon the shape of the burr, whether it is inverted cone, whether it is a tapered cylindrical, whether it is a flat, whether it is spear, and all. So depending upon the shapes and depending upon the this, that we all know about it. And also you should be able to tell about the description of the instrument, which we have already covered. Now, my dear students, only knowing about the classification of instruments, the nomenclature of the instruments, and all other things, but it is not sufficient. Okay, what you are supposed to have in your hand is about the is the sharpness. If you are using a dull instrument, it's not going to perform the correct function. Okay, so as the MUHS is sharpening your memory by this revision, so also in your practice, in your posting, you also have to check for whether the instrument which you are using is a standardized one, whether it is a sharp one, and the most important thing is the, which most of the times, being the senior teacher in the field, I have seen that most of the students, they are neglecting the grasp and the guards. So you should know about the different grasp, different guards. This is guards, why it is important? Because by chance some burr, some instruments, some diamond disc, some of that which is speedily rotating in the oral cavity, it might slip from your hand and there will be a serious mishap. So theory is okay, but when it comes to practical, all those things which are given in the syllabus, one must know and one must implement it. Okay, then also sterilization. Now that way, every time we have to sterilization protocol we have to follow. But now in this post during COVID session and post COVID session or era, I can call it, I have labeled as an era. So there we have to be very, very careful about each and every instrument. May it be a critical instrument, may it be a semi-critical instrument, may it be your dental chair and all other things. So you have to follow the protocol of sterilization, which is given by, as per the CDC guidelines of 2003, and most probably now there is amendment by 2018. So all routine sterilization methods are there, but with this, the autoclave. And remember, before placing it to the autoclave, before placing it to the sterilization, you need to clean it. You need to have cleaning properly, and then in ultrasonic cleaner, and then subject to the sterilization to have its proper effect. The next topic is clinical examination and diagnosis. Why I have chosen this is also, again, it is very, very important in this today's scenario, because the patients will be now coming in a later period. So we have to have the thorough examination before that, the screening, the history recording, the record keeping, and the detailed case history, the detailed examination, and then charting of the cases, the which you can reschedule, which cases are urgent, which cases are emergency, accordingly you have to do. So I feel this case history taking, clinical examination, and diagnosis is very, very important, because the correct diagnosis, it leads to the correct treatment, and you can be a successful dentist. So all these things, I need not go into the details because you all know. Only for the medical history, for the medical history, you have to be very, very careful. And as per the guidelines for COVID, you have to have and please keep it safe with yourself. Then treatment planning, we all know it is again a theory question. So there are different phases of treatment plan: urgent phase, control phase, re-evaluation phase, definitive care phase, and the maintenance phase. So treatment planning, you have to do it. Then also these are few basic non-carious lesions of teeth, which you are supposed to know because a patient comes to you. What is a hypoplasia? You have already studied in details in second year, but you must know what is a hypoplasia, what are different types, and what type of treatment you give. Then what is atresion, what is abrasion, also what is erosion, and the affractions also. So this is all the basic lesions which you are supposed to know, because from the theory point of view, even for Viva, they can be asked, what is erosion? What is erosion? Okay, what is abrasion? What is atresion? What is affraction? Okay, because I am in Nagpur base, so we have many patients in our OPD. Our OPD is maybe of say 130 patients. So the 5% of it is they have the lesion of affractions, maybe because of the habit, and also it's a clinical study is going on. So this you should know. And the most important thing I'll shift to it is the dental caries. Now for dental caries, because of dental caries, we are all there. We are going to go for the prevention and the treatment and the management and all things. So to define, a question may be asked, what is dental caries? So definition is, this is a long one given, but you should know by the Schaeffer, you should be knowing from the Studevant that it is a microbial disease of the tooth structure in which there is dissolution and destruction of the organic and inorganic structures of the teeth. Now the etiology for this, we all know about. This is a karyogram or a tetrad, what we call it as. There are four. First is the host, that is the tooth. Then there is a substrate, which is fermentable carbohydrates, and there are bacteria which are there in the karyogenic biofilm. And the fourth is a time. Initially, long back, there were only three things: host, carbohydrates, that is, and the time was not there. Okay, now saliva is all set. This is a different way. So this etiology, again, a question may be asked: what is the etiology of dental caries? So you should be able to draw this diagram, okay? And also you should be able to explain what are the primary modifying factors and what are the secondary modifying factors. Because even if everything is there in patients, sometimes you find, sometimes you may not find. So all the attention should be given to all other factors. Also, are you aware of the caries balance theory? So on one side, what is safe for the tooth and what is bad for the teeth. Okay. So what is bad for the teeth is all if you are not maintaining your hygiene. Okay. You have insufficient of saliva, and so these may be the bad topics, and the dietary, that is the diet is not good. So this is a bad side. And safe side is what? You have the proper, that is salivary constituents are good. You're able to clean everything. There's no bacteria and all. So this is a balance theory. So if you are balancing, you are maintaining your hygiene, you are improving your diets. So there are less chances of formation of caries. So this is from the, again, answer point of view, this slide. Then the classification is based on the location. I'll just go fast. So depending upon the location of the tooth, it is classified as Pitt and Fisher caries, smooth surface caries, then the tooth surface caries, then based upon the speed of caries progression, the acute or rampant caries. This you always, when you're posted in pedodontia, so you must be seeing all this thing. Chronic, it has got an onset, okay, acute and the chronic, and the arrested caries. Based on whether it is a new or recurrent caries lesion, initial or primary caries, recurrent or secondary caries. Based on the extent of caries, incipient caries, cavitated caries. Based on the pathways of caries spread with the tooth, forward caries and backward caries. Again a viva question. What are backward caries? What are forward caries? So viva question, you may say the direction, and if it is a SAQ, then you have to draw the diagram and explain the what is forward, what is backward. Then based on the number of tooth surface involved, like this is very simple, compound, complex, one surface, two surface, more than that. So this is again a classification based on the treatment and the restoration design. Again, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, and up to class 6. Based on whether caries is completely removed or not, residual caries, at times the time is up, okay, and we forget to, it's a by mistake. So some type of caries, it is left in the during preparation. So they are residual caries. And based on the age of the patient, nursing bottle caries, adolescent caries, and senile caries. Okay. So again, the question answer is I have given to you that you have to write like that. The diagnosis of that is for caries. So there are traditional methods and there are recent methods. So traditional methods we are all versed with this. That is the proper flossing, fiber optical, tactile, and probe. The most important, mirror and probe, explorer. And the recent, you can I have just enlisted zero radiography, digital radiographic methods, digital subtraction radiography, digital fiber optic transfibrillation, dyes for detection of caries, electric, all those, and diagnodent and all. So then prevention of dental caries, because we are a developing country and the caries are, it's a very on a high rate, the incidence. So we have to give and we have to you have to tell your patients about how to maintain the oral hygiene and what is the role of diet, which I have already told you, and the application of Pitt and Fisher sealants is very, very important as far as the prevention of dental caries. Then in the management of dental caries, there is preventive management, which evaluate the causative and modifying factors for caries, and it also encourages the remineralization of incipient caries. For operative management, what you do is we have to remove the infected dentin and in such a way that provide protection for the pulp. Okay, so these are few things which you know about the management of the caries. Now let us all shift to the endodontics. Now for this, the endodontics, a definition may be asked to you, and the endodontics is that branch of dentistry that is concerned with the morphology, physiology, pathology of the human dental pulp and periradicular tissues. Its study and practice encompass the basic clinical science, including biology of the normal pulp, the etiology, diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of diseases and injuries of the pulp and associated periradicular conditions. The scope of endodontics will include differential diagnosis and treatment of pain or swelling of pulpal and periradicular origin, urgent and emergency treatment for the pain and swelling, and the pharmacologic use of restricted use of antibiotics wherever it is required, the analgesics, anti-inflammatory, and the urgent or the emergency management of traumatic injuries to the dentoalveolar structures. Also, the scope will include vital pulp treatment to include stepwise caries excavation, indirect and direct pulp capping, and pulpotomy procedures. Non-surgical root canal treatment for the permanent dentition. Also, it will include bleaching of discolored teeth, the treatment procedures such as post and course, which involving the root canal treated tooth is also one of the scope of our endodontics. Now to go for a successful root canal treatment, what is required is to know and to be well versed with the morphology of root canal. Remember, our students, our subject teaching starts right from the first BDS, then second BDS, third BDS, and final BDS. There is no escape to it. So whatever you have learned in first BDS and second BDS, you have to just keep it in your brain or revise it, and this will be for lifelong. This will help you. So this is a very basic diagram which I have given you for the undergraduate students, which you know about it. No need to go and explain about it. So again, theory question may be asked, put to you. What is classification of root canals? So this is Wertücke's classification. It's very easy. Type 1 is one end, one open, one end. Type 2 is 2, 1. Type 3 is 1, 2, 1. Type 4 is 2, 2. Type 4 is 1, 2. Type 6 is 2, 1, 2. Type 7 is 1, 2, 1, 2. And additional types where we have 3, then 3 into 2, then 2 into 3, and 2, 3, 2. So this way, for an answer to this question, you have to write the name who has given the classification, and also you are supposed to draw a well-labeled diagram in the center of the page and give a proper labeling that what kind of classification it is. And I'm sure if you write like this, you will score good number of marks. Then there is another classification, which is Wien's classification. So here it is type 1 is 1 to 1, type 2 is 2 and 1, type 3 is 2, 2, and type 4 is 1, 2. So when a question is asked again, so the description or the answer should be in this way. Yeah, hello, can you, sir, Shishir sir, I have admitted you, so there was a, hello?
Yeah, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. So